Welcome to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where your host, Mary Noble Braden, will introduce you to Swannanoa Valley's most interesting and most iconic individuals.
Let's give 'em something to talk about.
Hello to all you beautiful people out there. This is Mary Noble Braden on the Mountain Magnolia Show. As you know, we reveal the heart and soul of our beautiful community here in Western North Carolina. And what a beautiful day it is. And I can't wait to share an amazing guest with you guys. So I love to do a quote before we start. And today's quote is, "There's something special about places that feel like a hidden track on an old record. Unexpected, soulful, and memorable." And today we're sitting down with the people behind Side B Bar. Welcome, Ruen Ellis. Thank you so much for coming on the Mountain Magnolia Show.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's tell the audience about you and your business partner's new adventure, the Side B Bar, located just under the Monte Vista Hotel.
Yeah, that's correct. We took over the basement space of Monte Vista Hotel. So I'm Ruen. I'm one of the partners. I'm the creative vision behind the bar. But my partners are Chris Campos and Chris Melton. Chris Melton is a long-time local here in Black Mountain, born and raised. He's a veteran and a master brewer. He was the head brewer at Lookout Brewery. And so we decided to kind of team up. And then Chris Campos joined us about midway, and we just found this space at the Monte Vista. And, we teamed up with Ridgeline Partners who own the Monte Vista Hotel, and they've been fantastic in just, in working with them. And yeah, the original idea was we wanted to open another late night spot, but specifically a vinyl bar that's very much inspired by the Kisatans in Japan. So
I saw that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I went to Japan in 2004 and then again in 2006, and I was in Osaka, and I just stumbled into this kisa, like this.
You're like, where am I?
And then it was just like, it was awesome because for such a futuristic country to be to kind of harbor back to vinyl and tapes and things like that. But I think it was more than just the vinyl and the music. It was also the vibe. It slowed down immediately.
Oh.
And your energy matched that. And so that's kind of what we wanted to do with Side B Bar. I think that, as Black Mountain is growing, we do have, the Pump late night spot, and you do have bars, but there's not really a living room.
Yeah, well,
right?
Tell me the vibe for somebody that's never been to Side B. Tell me the vibe of what it feels like when you go inside, and what areas are there to sit, and what type of drinks there are.
Yeah. So, Side B, the name, it's funny enough that when we were trying to come up with a few, with names and monikers and things like that, Mark Hennigan is an old friend of mine. He owns the Bush Farmhouse. Just flippantly said, "Well, why don't you call it Side B? Because all the best songs or tracks are always on the other side of the vinyl." And it took me 3 days, and I processed it, and it made perfect sense, because if you think about it, everything here is on Cherry Street or Black Mountain Avenue, and it's very much in the downtown part of Black Mountain. And we are on the B side, we're there, we're a little bit off the beaten track. And the other part is that the best is always saved on the other side of the vinyl, right? So Side B, and I believe that's what we wanted to create, was to have that experience, that unexpectedness. You always find the best track on the other side, but you'll find that experience there as well. There's so many things in this town. There's this vibrancy with restaurants and the uniqueness that they have, and they each bring this amazing energy to it, and they work really, really hard. And we just wanted to complement that, and we wanted to give something a little bit different. So, on the Side B, we're on that off the beaten track. You walk in, there's beautiful wooden doors. It's very kind of almost, I don't like the word speakeasy. A lot of people have used it, so I'll go with it.
Yeah.
But you open these wooden doors and you come in and you feel like you're being transported. You know, the space it was very cavernous, so the ceilings are low, but we've created this sense of space. So as you walk in, you know, you have the DJ booth and vinyl cabinet on the right. You usually have a DJ there spinning, you know, vinyls or like, you know, using digital boards or whatever. So there's always music playing. That's the first thing that you hear. We took a lot of care in putting acoustic panels everywhere. We really wanted to kind of hone in on that, the effect that sound has on, you know, on your feeling and your energy and your vibe. So it's low lit, but it's not dark, but it's also not bright. So when I wrote the design brief, I said, you'll feel light everywhere, but you'll never see one single light bulb. And that's what we've done. So
great.
we've integrated light everywhere. And as you walk through, like, you know, you have so many different places to sit. One of the most painful things that we had to do was to build this 32 feet banquette. It's a snaking banquette, and it has 3 seating sections. It was a nightmare, but I think it was absolutely worth it. It's in forest green. You can sit there. We have these Japanese screens that kind of, like, you know, divide spaces. Then you go to the end of the bar. There's a pool room. It's this dedicated pool room with pool table, a free pool. We have a dartboard in our listening room, and there's like another cabinet of vinyls, and we have a vinyl player there with some headphones, so you can actually pick out any vinyl you want and listen to it. Yeah.
I want to go back to the Japanese, you said snake seating.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? What you referred
Well,
to?
yeah, it's a banquette.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it, and I've heard a couple of people talk about this that have traveled to Japan. They'll go into like a bar or a coffee shop, and one of the ways to meet people is because you have to kind of sit close to people in Japan.
Exactly.
And so is that inspired by that, where you can either sit by yourself or you can talk to your neighbor that you might have just met in that seating area?
Absolutely. So that seating, the banquette is congruous. So it will just keep going until it ends. So there's like end pieces, there's back parts, but it's all connected. So I think it's quite conducive for parties when they want to talk. You know, a circle has always been the best way to bring people together, you know, from African cultures to Indian cultures, anywhere in the world for the most part. And so it's a half moon, or it's a crescent seating area. So you can really talk to each other. You know, you're
Beautiful.
just far enough where you have comfort, but you're facing each other.
Yeah.
And everyone is facing each other. But you're right. You know, it's like people can just come and sit where they want to. If someone wants to sit at the end cap, you know, they can. And we've seen that people start engaging with each other. So I don't think that was the primary idea, but I definitely think it was part of our thinking and doing that. And I love seeing that, you know?
Oh, that's what you want. You want a place where people can connect. They can come by themselves or they can come with friends. And I love to meet people when I'm out and about in town. That's one of the things that's fun to see all the different types of people that are in town. Speaking of, tell the audience where you're from.
So I have a bit of a wayward story, but I was born in South Africa and grew up there. And then I moved to Australia when I was 8. And then I went back to South Africa after apartheid ended. So I'm very emotional talking about home. And then went back to South Africa by choice, left Australia and, you know, went to school there and kind of became part of the new South Africa and did school there. But I traveled a lot throughout my life. So I went to Europe for a bit. I did an internship in Marseille in France. I was there for a year, went back, finished school, and then I did a postgrad at Fabrica in Torino, Italy. And I was there for about a year and a half. And then I was like, well, where's next? And so I went back to South Africa for a few months, went to Amsterdam, lived there for 2 years, and then I decided that I was going to move to New York, the US, and somehow managed to get it together and got here like about 20 years ago.
And Black Mountain's so lucky to have you. Have somebody with your culture and with your experience and your artistic ability. And I think it's one of the things that people need to know about you is because you don't just walk into a bar all the time in Black Mountain and have somebody with all the experiences that you've had living in so many different countries. So thanks for being here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, incidentally, like Chris Milton, one of our partners, you know, he was in the Navy, and so he traveled around the world as well. Like he's been to Japan. So when I mentioned this to him, it's like, yeah, I've been to one of those things.
Yeah.
And he was stationed in Hawaii. He went to the Philippines. So he's been all over the world as well. So that when you have those joined experiences or mutual experiences, you can appreciate those things and then recontextualize them.
Yeah, because I think I'm being a resident of Black Mountain for as long as I have. One of the things that's so special about this place is human perception. We're trying to make things better in our life, and you're making a place where we can all enjoy different aspects that you have found along the way. And so I really want to get into that a little bit more. I looked at the menu a little bit, and not only do you have decor from different countries and from the United States, you have a wonderful menu with all different types of alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beverages. So let's talk about how you decided to create your menu.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, you know, when Chris Milton and I sat down, we got very excited. You know, this was just flight of fancy at that day. We were at the Bush farmhouse. We were just having a drink.
I can see it right now.
And yeah, I know, like we were sitting outside and we were just like, damn. And then we discussed it and I got very, very inspired. And I was like, oh my God, yes, let's start plotting it. So one of the things that we really wanted to do was because of those global experiences. I think that's the foundation that we kind of decided upon was, you know, inspired by Japanese kissa listening bars and stuff. But we really wanted to have this global experience. So at the very beginning, we didn't know what cocktails were going to be yet, but the beers were going to be global pours. And so we have beer from 6 continents. And Chris just went to town. I was just like, you have creative license. You're the beer guy.
Yeah.
I'll do wine and cocktails and everything else, but let's go. And so the inspiration was really, we wanted beer we've been struggling getting them from like Australia, New Zealand because of distribution, but we have beers from Japan, Thailand, India. We have a beer from Hawaii. We have a beer from Brazil. We have a beer from Belgium. We have a beer from South Africa. We have one of our best sellers is actually a cold gold Pilsner called Habesha, and it's from Ethiopia. And it's one of our most popular beers. So it's, you know, one of the reasons why we felt that would work is because my immediate perception of Black Mountain when I came here first was how, even though it's a small town, how very prolific people are and their experiences. Like they're very globally, it's a very global mindset and they travel. And so I thought that there was going to be appreciation for that. All of our draft beers are all local. Like we're very, you know, we feel very strongly about that. Yeah. So we have Lookout Brewing, we have Pisca, we have a brewery out in Asheville. We do rotate them from time to time, but all our drafts are local and then everything else is essentially global.
Yeah,
global
you're mixing it up, which is great. Hyper local or a long way away.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, you know, not everyone drinks. Like people's habits have started to change. You know, people want to still be part of the conversation and part of the experience, but they don't want to drink, and that's fine. Like, you know, and so we've built a lot of like non-alcoholic. We have a non-alcoholic beer, a non-alcoholic cider. We have a non-alcoholic cocktail that we've created called the Arashiyama, which is really nice and refreshing. We're very mindful of that. And then we've also brought in some THC drinks, you know. So there are these different tracks of vibes.
You have a little bit for everybody.
So if you think about a record, right? Like as the music shifts from song to song, you know, different people will appreciate that. And I think we wanted to amplify, is having all these options for people. So anyone can come in and enjoy the side B experience, but they're not shoehorned into, okay, you have to drink liquor or if you have to do that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've also done with liquors, which we're kind of expanding on is, you know, I mean, alcoholic spirits are quite global in nature, but we did take care of like representing some of the best that the United States has to offer, but also from elsewhere.
That sounds amazing. Well, so out of all those global drinks or the local drinks, what's your choice? What's your favorite?
Beer is definitely. We have this Saint Bernardus. It's out of Belgium. It's a wit beer, but it's called Tokyo Wit, and it has this coriander and taste to it. It's really fantastic.
Oh, yum.
And then I really love, one of our bartenders, Nolan, created the Indigo Drift, which is this pineapple creme de violette rum drink, and it is just fantastic. It makes you feel great.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
We know your favorite now. So we know your favorite now.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about the music. Music seems tied to the identity there. So what influence does music have on the vibe of the space?
I think it's pretty central to everything. Let me step back for a second. But I grew up, my dad was a big audiophile, right? So he's like the first prince of Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, and Deep Purple. And so I grew up with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, he had like a good NAD system. So I kind of grew up with vinyls. So did Chris Melton. Like he had like 200 vinyls at home. I had a few at home, and we were just like, okay, let's do this. And then there was like a sale, and we found like about 2,000 vinyls that we kind of like took off their hands.
That's great.
But to your point, what does music mean to Side B? I think it's everything. I mean, I think it's in the name. I think it's in the experience. It's not overpowering, right? Like, it's not intimidating to anyone. It's so varied. The genres would go from like surf rock to some of my favorite music, which is French hip hop from like MC Solar. So I custom printed a vinyl and I play that often. But the whole, and then we'll jump to like.
Well, can we have a Pink Floyd night?
We can have a Pink Floyd night, yeah.
I
think
feel like I was in high school.
The THC drinks would probably help with that. It's very kind of short.
Robert Plant, Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And it'll feel like a lot of people around here were in high school.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we appealed to that. So like, we were playing Katie from the Red Rockers. She just came in the other night and she's like, hey, I have a gift for you. So she had this Janis Joplin record, and we just played that for the whole night. And then, we have DJs on Friday night. So we have this party called Mountain Camp.
Okay.
And so we have rotating DJs. We have Jody with a Y, and then Trevor from Loungeboard Collective. He plays in Asheville a lot. And Potential New Boyfriend. And just, they're such audio geeks.
Nice.
And they're a little bit different in their vibe. So, there's the party aspect. There's the coming in and listening to Pink Floyd aspect. If you wanted to listen to your own music, you can go into the listening room and put on a vinyl, right? So music really kind of guides the whole experience there.
Yeah.
And we also let, like, when the bartenders come in, we're like, put on a vinyl, put on your music,
Do it.
So all these people kind of come together, and it's not just one thing. We never want it to be one thing. It's extremely organic. It's extremely free. So, we won't necessarily do like death metal,
Right.
for instance, but this is a varied amount of genres that are being played because of the different people that worked there and created it. So
I love it. So, all right. I want to ask you, if Side B Bar had a soundtrack, what artist or albums would be on it?
Oof, that is unfair. Well, I think firstly, I'd say it would probably be influenced by Chris Campos, Chris Melton, and myself, right? I think the staff would have input there as well. But I would definitely throw some French hip hop on there. I'd have some MC Solar. I would definitely have something more new wave, soft new wave chill, like something like Washed Out, or maybe a Fortet. I know that Chris would he'd throw in a Wayward Offspring song on there. Chris Campos would definitely throw in some more poppy things. So yeah, I think that would be the side A. The side B, work in progress.
Okay. So All right. We talked about this before you were on the show. If you could host any musician, artist, or thinker at Side B for one night, who would it be?
Damon Albarn
Nice.
from Blur and the Gorillaz.
Okay.
Yeah, he's prolific. That or maybe Tom York. So from Radiohead.
I mean, let's get started. Let's see
I'm
what
a
they're coming
90s
next.
kid.
Right? I know. I love the 90s too. So let's tell the audience also what days you're open and what your hours are.
So we felt that when we go out on a Monday, we struggled with finding anything really open, or Tuesdays, right? And I can understand that from a food, business, like a restaurant or whatever, because it's so difficult to run it when it's slow.
Yeah.
We're open 7 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah. It was from the beginning, it was a conscientious choice that we made, and Mondays and Sundays would be slow, but we are sticking to it. So we are not closed. Side B is always open. We are more of a late night spot, so, and because we're indoors, we don't have an outdoor space right now. We open at like 5, and then we go till 11 from Sunday through to Thursday. And then over the weekend, we have 3 p.m. till 1 a.m. And
Wow.
sometimes we close at 2 a.m. So the latest that we will open is to be open by 2 a.m. But we read the room, Sometimes we have a lot of people coming in from Asheville. We have a lot of locals coming in. And it's like, oh, man, we're going to party.
Black Mountain's never really
Yeah.
had a late night place. Well, and maybe except Rosie's where this was back in the day. And let's talk about that too. You said that when you were building the bar that you going through boxes, and so there's some great history.
Yeah.
What it was called, what was it called?
Rosie's Cantina.
Yeah. Rosie's Cantina below the
Monte
Vista, and it closed. God, how long has it been? At least 10 years.
No, I think it was longer. I think it was like 2007, 6 or 7.
So it's been a while. 20 years about.
I don't know the exact date when it closed, but yeah, it's an interesting story. Like, we were looking for space on Cherry Street. We spoke to a lot of people, and then this is kind of, I think the universe just sent us this space. And when Chris Melton and I were with the Perry Social, and he heard about it, and I actually know 2 of the partners at Ridgeline who own, the Monte Vista Hotel. And so I was like, oh, wow. So I called him up and I was like, hey, like, you have this space downstairs. And he's like, yeah. And so we started talking about that. But it was very interesting. It just happened. Like, we signed the lease. They were like, we don't need you to sell us on the concept. We get it. Let's talk about lease. And so we went into that, and then, went to go look at the space a little bit before, and I just walked in, and I was like, it was a mess. Okay, it was a mess. Like, the windows were broken. There was just storage everywhere because the hotel has been using it as a storage unit, essentially. But I saw it. I saw it what it is today. I like immediately within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is it. And Chris was like, and we just looked at each other and we were like, whoa, this is it. But, our first job was to kind of clear all of that stuff out. And, I during those first weeks, we heard that, we finally found out the name. It was Rosie's Cantina. It was like this space. It was, part of like the pump was there. And then you had, I think, Watershed. And then you had at Rosie's Cantina. So, there was like a music stage, there was a bar, there was all this ephemera that just kind of got lost in the storage. So even though we had to trash a lot of the stuff because it was just completely destroyed, I found containers and boxes and bags full of things that were there during that time. And so I kind of pulled them aside and I built this little space and I just put everything in there. And as we started, really kind of constructing the place, when we got a building permit, I started integrating a lot of these things into the space. And to me, it's just nice to, I'm a very sentimental and nostalgic person, and I'm inspired as a designer too. I'm inspired by just things. Like, things have meaning to them. They have a story behind them, and they also, if you pay attention, they have a little bit of energy attached to them.
True.
And
yeah.
so I wanted to save those things. So if you go into the bar today, you'll see like little horseshoe above the bar. You'll see the pool scoring table. There's a furniture piece. There's a little decor piece in the bathroom. So there's a lot of stuff that
You've
we've
implemented it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and I just think it's so wonderful. We used to have a late night place almost 20 years ago, and now we have a new late night place. I mean, Black Mountain usually closes at least by midnight.
Yeah.
On the weekends, maybe 1, but on the weekdays, I mean, everything's closed by 9:00.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, Bud and Dave from OTD, like, they love the space. So when they close, they'll come over there. So like almost every single night. It's really nice to have the locals be like, oh, this is great. This is a nice space.
And you've implemented so many wonderful things. Music, all types of global inspiration as well. And then just the spaces. It's so important. And I wanted to talk about that too. Why do you think people crave spaces with character and authenticity right now?
Well, I think it's for many reasons. I think it's societal. I think it's personal too. But you can see that the highly produced spaces tend to be quite devoid of soul sometimes. There are, of course, so many exceptions. Mark Hennigan at the Bush Farmhouse is an old friend of mine, but he gets it. He gets that authenticity. It has to be a little bit off kilter, left of center, out of left field. It has to be so wrong that it's just right.
Oh, sad beat.
I'm
kidding.
And then that's kind of what we're trying to do as well. But people do crave a space. I think mostly when you go into a highly produced space, no matter how good the food or the cocktails or the service is, if you cannot feel like yourself when you're there, you're never going to go back.
True. Yeah.
And I think that's a central reason why people go. And you cannot do that with music or cocktails or global beers or decor, all those things, right? Those things do work together. But ultimately, you have to understand why people want to go out and why they want to experience a place. So if you take all of those things together in that cocktail mix, sorry for the pun, you have to create an environment where people can just be themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what, we understood from the beginning. And I have, there was some, because we're 3 partners, there's a lot of like ideas and comments and suggestions that come in. It's one of the things that I kind of fought for from the beginning, which is we have to make sure that people can feel like themselves. Now, that's a very ethereal thing to say, and it's very hard to kind of qualify what that means. But if someone walks into a space and they can just take any seat, there you go.
7 days a week, which is awesome. Open daily until late. And we've talked about all your different types of wonderful drinks. I mean, there's a lot. We got remixes, not covers, Club Toki San, Dessert Funk, Malmo, Indigo Drift. I mean, that's a big list.
Yeah, we actually have, for spring, we're going to do a kind of classics thing. So it's a side A classics, and then we're going to do side B deep cuts. So those are going to be more bartender driven drinks and stuff. So we're going to put a THC drink cocktail on there. We do have the THC canned drinks, but we wanted to integrate that a little bit more. So we want to make the cocktail menu really kind of shine. I mean, we've only been open for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And we're continuously innovating and we're continuously changing, and we're not just like set it and forget it, right?
Right.
The other thing that I really like and that I have encouraged was for our bartenders, we have 3 great bartenders. We are so lucky. It's Nolan, Kelly, and Tiara, and they each bring something to the table, and we really involve them in the process, not just from an organizational and operational standpoint, but also creativity. So Nolan created the Indigo Drift, Kelly created the Pink Noise, which is our Paloma, and then Tiara created the Malmo. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So much creativity and also just a place to relax and be yourself and have a different perspective in life. And thanks for showing up for Black Mountain.
Of course,
And-
it's been a. I mean, it's a project of true love. I don't think that we did this for the money. We just wanted to open this bar, and because Milton and I were like little kids in a candy store, even in the darkest days when money is obviously always an issue in opening a bar. It's not easy to do it. Because Milton and I had Tyvek suits on and masks and everything, and we used a jackhammer to get the plaster off so we could have exposed brick.
Yeah.
And as from like August through Halloween and Thanksgiving, we were there like 7 till 10, 11, sometimes 1 a.m. in the morning, and exhausted, dirty, full of dust. I mean, my hands were destroyed, but we just kept going because it was like we knew that Black Mountain deserves a little complimentary space.
Sure.
But it's true love. It's a true labor of love.
Well, you inspired me when you came in here. You're like, we should have done it at the bar. And I was like, you're right. And so maybe that's going to be my next thing. Or maybe I'll come by tonight before we air the show and you can show me around.
Of course.
Even talking, which would be great because it's people love to actually see. And I can't wait. I can't wait to experience it.
Okay.
So,
I would love to see what your feedback is, because everyone that comes in there is like, wow, it reminds me of this, and then someone would come in and be like, oh my god, it reminds me of this. So it's like, it's a very comfortable space. It's expansive but extremely intimate at the same time.
sounds amazing. Well, this has been lovely. We have talked about how you got to create Side B and just all the implementing, whether it be friends or your experiences all over the country and your collaboration with your business partners. It sounds really like it's been a beautiful project, and I'm so thankful that you've come on the show. Is there anything that we have missed or you would like to talk about before I ask you the closing question?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. I really appreciate the input and the time you took to think through things.
It's been a great conversation. One of the last questions that I ask my guest is, what does community mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an interesting question. When I lived in New York for 13 years and then moved to Miami, and one of the things that I found quite lacking there was a sense of community. I'm sure that there are exceptions. The cool thing about Black Mountain is, and I just kept coming here like 5 times a year, even when it was cold, like just fly up from Miami like 5-6 times, is the immediate openness that people have to just approaching you, connecting with you, no matter where you're from, no matter what your accent sounds like, no matter what your mentality is, and even transcending political divides. There are people on the right, there are people on the left, but we can all go out and we can connect. But one of the most notable things is that how willing people are to help here. So for me, what community means is just showing up for each other and thinking about a more like wholesome and whole mindset. If I give you this, I'm not losing, I'm gaining. And I think that's that was so notable in this town. I mean, obviously a great example would be during Helene. I mean, people naturally come together, that's human beings, right? But that didn't just come in a vacuum there and then left. It's part of the fabric of this town and this community. And it's across the board, actually.
That's true.
It's young people, it's business owners. I mean, when we said we were going to open this, I mean, Adrian and Matt, they have nutmeg on there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I told Matt we were sitting having a drink with them, I said, yeah, we want to have a dartboard. He ordered a dartboard that day on Amazon, and he held on to it, and we have it in our listening room. It's little things like that, and how enthusiastic and like supportive people are. Like we have people have donated us sound equipment. Sound equipment is expensive because you also need the right technicians. people have donated vinyls and artwork and just showed up like, hey, can we help clean? Like,
Yeah.
and that is very rare because people sometimes in larger cities or in other places in the world have a very kind of zero-sum mentality. So that's what community means. And we pay it forward in kind, like we will donate to causes. We'll help the community, if anyone comes to ask us for something, we're there, So that's what community means to me. It ultimately means safety.
Yeah.
And safety comes through support and collaboration.
Thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful. And I feel the same way. I feel like we all come together and we all have to learn both sides. We have to learn to give and we have to learn to receive. And it can be harder. One side can be harder than the other. But ultimately, we are here to share this beautiful experience together.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the gifts you give away today will come back to you in abundance later. So there's no such thing like, contribution and giving and generosity is not currency. It's part of
Energy.
who we are as people. And I think that is lived here on the faces and the actions and the deeds of everyone in this town. And that's what makes this place so special.
So true. So true. Well, guys, y'all go visit Side B Bar. It's under the Monte Vista. I can't wait to come. And it sounds amazing. And I'm going to take some video as well so you guys can experience for yourself. It's open 7 days a week. And Ruen, thank you so much for revealing the heart and soul of our community. You are it. Side B is it. So I wouldn't have this show without people like you. And I hope come back again. And I'm looking to see what the future holds for Side B.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute and be part of this. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Again, this is Mary Noble Braden on the Mountain Magnolia Show, where we reveal the heart and soul of our community. I hope everyone has a beautiful week. Until next time, bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for Mountain Magnolias with your hosts, Mary Noble Braden. Join us next time for more interesting stories from the Swannanoa's most interesting people as we give you something to talk about.
Let's give 'em something to talk
Mountain Magnolias is a production of Noble & Company Realty in Black Mountain. For more information, please call them at 828-357-5243. 828-357-5243.